Hey everybody, welcome to yet another offering of Movie Nights with Lehlo, a show where I watch newly released films and I review them. Today's film comes with a major trigger warning, but stay with me. It's a good one, I promise. We're talking Two Distant Strangers. A man trying to get home to his dog gets stuck in a time loop that forces him to relive a deadly run-in with a cop. This film is a major case of deja vu for the film's lead, Carter, played by Joey Badass, who wakes up from a one-night stand and gets ready to go home, right? In proper one-night stand etiquette. Get dressed and go home, right? Don't know why he spent the night, but okay. I'm revealing too much about myself. Yes, classic case, he gets up from a one-night stand and he gets ready to go home. And he had had this one-night stand with a woman called Perry, played by Zaria Simone. And as he goes downstairs and makes his way home, he has a run-in with a cop called Officer Merck, played by Andrew Howard. And this run-in ends up, being very, very violent and results in his death. He soon wakes up and does it all over again, gets ready to go home, goes home. On his way there, another run-in with Officer Merck, and that results in violence and a different kind of, killing, but killing regardless. And he wakes up again and again and again, and this happens to him every single time. So you end up, and I feel so guilty for having said these things to myself when I was watching the film, but I ended up being like, maybe do this. Don't go out today. And then, he doesn't go out at some point, and the cops still find him. And that's when it really, really clicked to me that no matter what it is that this gentleman does, death will find him at the hands of the police, right? At the hands of Officer Merck. And it found him at home, it found him in the street, and it made commentary to the most recent cases I know of, right? From Breonna Taylor to George Floyd in the US. And yeah, those were people who, George Floyd was trying to pay at a grocery store and he got killed for that. Breonna Taylor was asleep and she got killed. So you get the sense that, listen, I think that what this film is saying is no matter what these black people do, they died at the hands of the cops, right? And then that's when I started realizing that Carter is actually the lived experience of African American people personified. He is the embodiment of all the fatal cases of police brutality, like I just mentioned now, only a few, and you really realize that hectic. These are people who were just going on about their days, people who just existed, and by mere virtue of existing, that could result in your death. So after a while, Carter has tried many ways to, avoid his run-in with Officer Merck, but he just can't do it. And there's a day that he wakes up after having this montage where he's constantly frustrated every time that he wakes up, right? And you end up feeling frustrated for him. And he wakes up and he says, this keeps happening to me. And that was just, yeah, that was a moment for me. I was like, hectic, because no matter what it is that black people do in America, this keeps happening to them. It just keeps happening to them. And then the girl Perry decides to make a dumb suggestion by saying, maybe just talk to him. I'm like, what in the Kendall Jenner and Pepsi ad is this, child? So now you're trying to say that all the black people must go talk to them, to the cops that were just trying to kill them. Just have a conversation with him. Maybe he won't kill you. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's how the white people made their way into the US Capitol. They just had a conversation and handed Pepsi to the cops. So I was like, okay, whatever, let's see where this goes. And he tries to have a conversation with him. Doesn't end up well the first time, tries again and again. And then at some point, you live in hope because they have a good conversation and they're going. So in the times that we don't have any cases. There's no rioting anymore, and it seems like, you know, Black lives are safe. There'll always be that one case that will happen. We've seen this again, time and time again, and we've had these conversations for many years. We've had these conversations with Fruitvale Station. We've had these conversations with When They See Us. We're having this conversation now. It seems like we always have to have this conversation about Black lives, you know, mattering, no matter what it is. The system doesn't care. It really just does not care for Black people and their lives. And that's what this film so wonderfully captures for me. You know, I thought that it was going to be a major trigger warning. I was like, I don't know why you would want to make a time loop about police brutality and why we have to watch a man get killed the same way so many times. But it just spoke to all these cases so well, right? And yeah, it was just very well done. Didn't think I would rate it this well, but it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. Yeah, it's a 8 out of 10. I could say 8.5. Who knows? But yeah, it's a very well done film. To those who've watched it, you know, let me know what your thoughts were about it in the comment section. And if you yet to watch it, remember that trigger warning. But I do think that it is worth a watch. And that is Two Distant Strangers, now streaming on Netflix.